From Perfect Husband to Shameless Cheater Part 2. I saw everything, catching my husband, cheating in our living room. With our baby in my arms, the moment I opened that door, my world ended. I don't even remember if I took a breath. All I remember is the smell, the heavy perfume that hit me before my eyes could even process the scene. Then in one horrifying instant, everything came into focus. My husband, on our couch, entangled with a woman I had never seen before. Time slowed. My son squirmed in my arms, sensing something was wrong. My feet turned to stone. My chest clenched so tightly I thought I might faint. And then, her. She wasn't shocked. She wasn't scrambling. She didn't cover herself or even look guilty. She turned her head toward me, her hair spilling over her bare shoulder, and smiled. A cold, sharp smile. "Oh," she said. "You're home early, like this was her house. Like I was the intruder." My husband leapt up, shoving her aside, fumbling for his shirt. "Baby, it's not what you think," he stammered. But his voice cracked. His face was pale. His eyes told me everything his words were trying to deny. I clutched our son tighter. He began to whimper, confused by the chaos in the room. I wanted to scream, to throw something, to break down. But no sound came out. My throat locked. My eyes burned. My entire body shook, but I couldn't move. I just stood there, frozen, as if the betrayal had turned me into stone. Finally, my husband pulled on his clothes, moving toward me, his hands outstretched. "Please, just let me explain." "Explain? Explain what?" "That the man who kissed me goodbye a week ago, the man who texted "I miss you" every night of our family trip, was now in our living room with another woman. That the father of my child thought it was acceptable to desecrate the very couch where our son had taken his first steps. No explanation could erase what I had just seen. She didn't even flinch. She just sat there fixing her hair, glancing between us with that same smug smile. She was enjoying it, reveling in my humiliation. I finally found my voice, though it came out as a whisper. "Get out!" She tilted her head, still smiling. "Are you sure? Because it looks like he doesn't want me to leave." My vision blurred with tears. My knees wobbled, but I held on to my son and repeated louder this time. "Get out!" My husband turned on her, his voice frantic. "Just go, please, just go." She stood slowly, deliberately, gathering her things as if she had all the time in the world. Before walking past me, she leaned close, her perfume suffocating, and whispered, "He'll call me tomorrow." I wanted to hit her, to scream at her, to drag her out by her hair, but I didn't move. I couldn't. When the door closed behind her, the silence was deafening. My husband reached for me. "Please, just listen." "It's not what it looks like," I laughed, a bitter, hollow laugh. "Not what it looks like? You were inside her on our couch." He flinched but said nothing. My son started crying, overwhelmed by the tension. I carried him upstairs, refusing to look back. That night I locked the bedroom door. My husband slept in the guest room. And just like that, the life I thought I had was gone. The days after were a blur. I moved through the house like a ghost, caring for my son, cooking meals, folding laundry, but inside I was numb. My husband tried to act normal, helping with chores, talking to our son, leaving for work like always. But he didn't apologize. Not once. He didn't beg for forgiveness. He didn't even try to justify what I saw. He just carried on. The silence between us was heavier than any shouting match could have been. We ate dinner in silence, slept in separate rooms, exchanged only the words necessary to keep the house running. "Did he eat?" "Did you pick him up?" "I'll take him to daycare tomorrow." That was it. I wanted him to fight for me, to fall on his knees and beg for another chance, to at least pretend he regretted what he did, but he didn't. His indifference was worse than the cheating itself. And then came the memories, the ones that twisted the knife deeper. I remembered the night I gave birth. I had always believed his excuse, that he missed it because of a sudden work trip, that he wanted to be there but couldn't. I forgave him for that absence, told myself it wasn't his fault. But now, the pieces clicked into place. He wasn't at work that night. He wasn't in a meeting or on a plane. He was with her. While I screamed in pain, bringing his child into the world, he was in a hotel room with another woman. The thought made me nauseous. I ran to the bathroom and vomited, my body convulsing with rage and heartbreak. I couldn't look at him after that. Couldn't even stand in the same room without wanting to scream. But he didn't care. He walked around the house like nothing had happened, checked his phone with a faint smile, left for hours without explanation, came home smelling of perfume I didn't own. He was gone. Not physically, but in every way that mattered. And I was left, holding the broken pieces of a life I once believed was perfect. I stopped wearing my wedding ring, not out of anger, but because every time I looked at it, my stomach churned. That band of gold used to mean forever, a promise, a vow. Now it was just a reminder of how easily promises could be broken. My husband noticed, of course. One morning, he glanced at my bare finger and asked, "Where's your ring?" I looked him in the eye and said, "Where's your apology?" He had no answer. He just grabbed his keys and left for work. That became our pattern. Small confrontations, big silences. I'd drop hints, throw barbed comments, desperate for him to react. But he never did. His calm, which once seemed like maturity, now felt like cruelty. I began to wonder if he even loved me at all, or if I had been living in a fantasy, fooled by a man who knew how to play the role of the perfect husband. At night, I couldn't sleep. I lay awake replaying everything, searching for signs I had missed. The business trips, the late nights, the sudden need to grab a drink with colleagues. I remembered how during my pregnancy he was distant at times. I chalked it up to stress, to fear about becoming a father. But now I wondered, was he already with her then? Was I carrying our child while he was carrying on an affair? The thought clawed at me, keeping me awake until dawn. I tried talking to friends, carefully, cautiously, without revealing too much. "What would you do?" I asked one, "if you caught your husband cheating?" She sighed. "I'd leave. No question." Another friend said, "People make mistakes. If he's willing to fix it, maybe give him a chance." But that was the problem. He wasn't willing. He wasn't even trying. He didn't ask for forgiveness. He didn't promise to change. He didn't care enough to lie. He just lived his double life openly, shamelessly, as if I had no say in it at all. Sometimes I thought maybe he was waiting for me to be the one to end it. That way he could walk away clean, tell people I left him, make me the villain in his story, and that terrified me, because deep down I still loved him. That's the sickest part of betrayal. You don't stop loving someone overnight. I hated him. I despised what he did. But there were still moments when I caught myself staring at him, remembering the man I fell for, aching for the love we once shared. One evening, I finally broke. We were sitting in silence at the dinner table, our son in his high chair babbling happily, smearing mashed potatoes across his tray. My husband laughed at something our son did, a genuine laugh, warm and familiar. For a split second I saw the man I used to know, and it hurt more than anything. "Why?" I asked suddenly, my voice trembling. He looked at me, confused. "Why what? Why did you do it? Why her? Why us?" He put down his fork and sighed. "I don't know, that's not an answer. It just happened." I stared at him, my vision blurring with tears. "You destroyed everything. And you don't even have a reason?" He leaned back in his chair, his face blank. "What do you want me to say? That I'm sorry? I won't say it if I don't mean it." The words cut like knives. "You don't even regret it," I whispered. He didn't respond. He just stood up, took his plate to the sink, and walked away. I sat there, shaking, tears falling onto my son's tray. He looked up at me with wide eyes, sensing my pain, and for the first time I realized how much he was absorbing, how much he would one day remember. That terrified me even more than losing my husband. Because what would my son learn from this? That love means silence? That betrayal is something you just endure? That marriage is nothing more than a prison you can't escape? The thought lit a fire in me. For the first time, I considered leaving, not just as an act of self-preservation, but as a lesson for my child. But then came the fear. What if he fought for custody? What if he painted me as unstable? What if the court believed him, the respectable businessman, the calm husband, over me, the broken wife with tear-streaked cheeks? I couldn't risk losing my son, so I stayed. Days turned into weeks. Weeks blurred into months. The silence between us grew thicker, heavier, suffocating, and then came the final blow. One night, I overheard a phone call. He was in the next room, his voice low, but I caught fragments. "I'll be there soon." "She doesn't suspect a thing." "Of course I want to see you." My chest tightened. I pressed my ear to the wall, my heart pounding so loud I thought he might hear it. And then I heard him laugh. That laugh, the same one he used to give me when we were falling in love. A laugh that once belonged to me, now belonged to her. I sank to the floor, covering my mouth to keep from sobbing. It wasn't just an affair. It wasn't just a mistake. It was a life. A second life he was choosing over and over while I sat in the shadows of the first. And the cruelest part? He didn't even try to hide it anymore. After that night, I stopped pretending. I no longer waited for apologies that would never come. I no longer looked for signs of remorse in his eyes. I knew now he wasn't sorry. He wasn't conflicted. He wasn't torn between two lives he had chosen. And it wasn't me. We became two strangers co-parenting under the same roof. Our conversations were purely transactional. Daycare drop-off is at 9. Don't forget his doctor's appointment. We need more diapers. That was it. No affection, no warmth, not even anger. Just cold efficiency. And in some ways that hurt the most. Anger at least would have meant he cared enough to fight. But his indifference, that was worse than hatred. I began to notice how his absences stretched longer and longer. He stopped pretending he was working late. Sometimes he wouldn't come home until after midnight. Other times he wouldn't come home at all. When I confronted him, he just shrugged. I was busy with her. Always her. The betrayal ate away at me until I could barely recognize myself. I lost weight. I stopped sleeping. My hair began to thin from stress. I stared into mirrors and saw a stranger. Hollow eyes, pale skin, a woman carrying a grief no one could see. Friends asked if I was okay. I lied, just tired. Coworkers noticed my distraction. I forced smiles. My parents asked questions I couldn't answer. I told them everything was fine because the alternative, the truth, would break their hearts. But my son, he noticed. Children always do. He tugged at my sleeve one evening and asked, "Mommy, why are you sad?" I broke down in tears, hugging him so tightly he squirmed. How could I explain to a toddler that his father had destroyed me? That the man he adored, the man he looked up to, was living a double life? I couldn't. So I wiped my tears and whispered, "I'm okay, sweetheart. Mommy's okay, but I wasn't." One evening, I tried once more to reach the man I thought I knew. He was sitting on the couch, the same couch where my world had collapsed, scrolling through his phone. I sat across from him, my hands shaking. "Do you even love me anymore?" I asked. He didn't look up. "Don't start. Don't start? I'm your wife. I'm the mother of your child. You're destroying us and all you can say is, 'Don't start'?" He finally put his phone down and looked at me. His eyes were cold, empty. "What do you want from me?" he asked flatly. "I want my husband back," I whispered. He laughed. A hollow, bitter laugh. "That man doesn't exist anymore." The words knocked the breath out of me. "Then who are you?" I asked, tears spilling down my face. He stood up, grabbed his jacket, and headed for the door. "Someone who doesn't want this conversation." And just like that, he was gone. That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, replaying every moment of our marriage. The wedding vows, the morning coffees, the family dinners, the way he used to hold my hand when we crossed the street. Were those moments lies too? Or had they been real once before she came along? I didn't know anymore, and the not knowing drove me mad. I thought about leaving, packing my things, taking my son, starting over somewhere new. But then fear gripped me. What if he fought for custody? What if the court believed his calm facade over my broken truth? What if I lost the only person who still gave my life meaning? I was trapped. Trapped in a marriage that had become a cage. Trapped in a house that felt haunted. Trapped with a man who wasn't mine anymore. And yet I stayed. For my son. For stability. For the faint, foolish hope that maybe one day he would wake up and realize what he was throwing away. But deep down I knew the truth. He wasn't coming back. And the worst part? This was only the beginning. Because soon I would learn that his betrayal ran deeper than I ever imagined. That the woman in my living room wasn't just a fling, but something far more insidious. And when that truth finally came out, it broke me all over again.